Alright guys, so we got a 2018 Transit here that has 8 miles on it. We just picked it up from the dealership. We're going to go through and demonstrate how easy it is just to install our remote start system. For 3 lock presses off of your factory key fob, you literally have to hook up a ground wire and then 1 additional wire. So it's stupid simple. So with that said, our kit covers all variations and trim levels of the Transit. So as you guys are aware, this one is a passenger van, obviously. They do make a cargo version. They have Transits with a OEM alarm, and they have some without. They have some with an immobilizer system. They have some without. So with that said, our kit will cover everything. So if you guys have a fleet of Transits and they're not all the same, our kit will work on all of them. So some require all the parts in our box, some may not, so you'll have extra parts, but we do include everything that you will need to cover every single trim level of Transit. Without further ado, let's jump in here and get it going. All right guys, so under the dash, we're gonna start with removing this panel right here. Just grab a plastic pry tool, or you can pull it off simply like that. But usually it's not that loose. You'll just have to poke it in and then you can work it around and it just pops right off. The next thing we're going to do is remove this cup holder because there's a couple screws in behind it. So again, take your pry tool and you can go right underneath this lip, pop it up. There are 3 7mm screws. There's one here, and then one hiding back here. Go ahead and remove those. Remove this cover. And now we gain access to 2 more 7mm screws. So go ahead and remove those. Once you have those 2 screws removed, go ahead and pull from up here. Take your plastic pry tool, and you're going to see a little lip up here. So go ahead and pop that down and then work your way along towards the steering wheel and then top. And then this whole thing will pop right out. Once you get it loose, unplug the electrical connectors from the headlight harness, and then also if you have the power mirrors, go ahead and unplug that harness as well. We have 7 7mm screws that we need to remove. There's first one's over here on the left on the end cap. Then we have 6 more. You got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Go ahead and remove all those. And then there's going to be 1 more that we have to remove up in here, but we'll show you that here in a second. This dark gray piece right here, you can pull out, and we're actually going to pull it down, and we're going to go at the 7mm from right here between the dash pieces. So grab your drill or an extension piece. If you have something like this, you can reach back up in here. Get it out just like so. And once you have that loose and the screw out, there's a clip that holds the sub dash on. So you can either give it a yank, or you might have to use a screwdriver or a panel popper to come up here and leverage it and break it loose. And then once you got it out, set it to the side. We need to remove 2 T20 Torx bits from the bottom of the steering wheel shroud. There's one right here and one back here. The easiest way to remove this is to grab it by the back, give it a little yank, it'll loosen up over on the side, and then you can get it from there and just work it off. Alright, so go ahead, pop the steering wheel lock down, pull the steering wheel all the way out and up, lock it back into place, and now we will get the harness out of the box and show you guys how to install it. The Ford Transit contents of the box are as included. This is our main ignition harness, OBD2 harness. We have the remote start module. We have our parking light connection kit. We have our lock and unlock wires. This is only required, as it says right here, if you guys are using a remote kit and or phone module. We have our ground wire kit, and then some zip ties, warranty info, and full instructions. Alright, so out of the box, I need you to grab these 3 things. This is all we're going to start with right now, and this is all that is required for a 1-wire hookup. 3 locks off of your factory key fob. You got your remote start box, you got your ground wire kit, and then you have the main harness and OBD2 connectors. And then these are our ignition harness, the T harness, plug right in. This is plug B, so this is where we plug our ground wire into. And then the rest of this plugs right into the module here. So you're gonna have the OBD2 connector plugs into the remote start. Red connector plugs into the remote start. The 4-pin black to the remote start. There's a, I think it's a 20 pin. And then the little black box that comes in here plugs right into this one. All transit vans will be required over here on the left to use our T-harness for the main ignition switch. So go ahead and plug this in. Make sure it clicks, make sure it is seated all the way. The next one that we're gonna do is the one with a B on it. Go ahead and take our ground wire kit, plug the connector into here, and then that's our main ground, and we will run these together here in a second. For connector A, right here there's a black ring around the ignition cylinder. There's a 4-pin plug connected to that mechanism, and that's where our immobilizer connection is going to go. This is a passenger van. Most will have this. Very few cargo vans will have this, but I have seen it. So if your van has this connection around the ignition cylinder, plug A must be used. It is required. If you don't have this connection, then A just gets zip tied or taped to the harness and tidied up so it does not rattle underneath the steering column. All right, so everything's just loose hanging here. We have the ignition plug connected right here. We have plug A connected to the mechanism around the ignition cylinder, and then plug B right here is connected to our ground wire kit. So I'm gonna go ahead and tidy this up and show you what it's gonna look like when everything's buttoned up. All right guys, so we got it all zip tied up. You can see it comes around, it zips tied to the loom. We got our connector plugged into the switch, and we have the original back in here, and it just kind of goes along this loom over. I came behind that loom, and then what we're gonna do with the ground wire is come out this hole right here. So take your wire, feed it through this little area right there where my finger's at. So there you go. Remove the 8mm bolt, pop the plastic out, insert it down, cinch it back down, and now we have a good OEM factory ground on our remote start system. The last T-harness that we need to install is the OBD2 connector. So as you can see, there's a lock tab on each side, so just depress it with a screwdriver and you can push one side back and then weasel it on out. It's loose, so grab our T-harness, go ahead and install it in place. Route the white wire around here, and now we are all good to go. The last connection we need to make in order to operate this from our factory key fob by pushing lock 3 times is our signal wire. So grab the green one with the spade on it. We are going right here. This is the BCM underneath the dash. Take a pair of wire cutters and snip this zip tie. Peel back the tape. Careful, you do not want to cut any of the wires. The wire that we're looking for is a purple green. There are 2 of them in here. As you can see, the one on the right is a lot skinnier than the one on the left. So the one on the left that's the one we're looking for. Use the supplied T-tap, crimp it down with a pair of pliers, or I would highly recommend you guys solder these connections that we're about to show you. To test this, you guys grab a meter or a test light or whatever it is that you guys use for testing wires. This is going to show ground, but when you hit the lock button, let me see if I can do this here, it's going to show 12 volts. So every time you push lock, it's going to show 12 volts. Same thing with the door switch. If you push lock on the door switch, it's going to show 12 volts. That's the wire that we need. And after you're done testing it, make sure you push the unlock button so you don't lock your keys in the car. Take the green wire, tap it on here. All right guys, we're ready to program the module. Now, keep in mind, programming is going to be different between trim levels of transits. There are only 2 possible programming scenarios. This goes back to this connector right here around the ignition cylinder. Okay, this 4-pin connector. If you guys have this, the programming that I'm about to show you is what you're going to use. If you do not have this, stay tuned because I'm going to show you the second programming process as soon as we're done with this one. Alright guys, so plug everything into the module. On the back side you're going to have the red and white, plug it in. On the front side you're going to have the big white connector. The black one you're not going to plug in just yet. And then the 7-pin goes to the little black box here. This is probably going to end up turning over to a circuit board chip that will be installed in the harness already. But if you guys have this black box, go ahead and plug it in. You're going to push and hold the button. You're going to insert the 4-pin connector. This light is going to cycle blue, red, amber, blue, and red, and then it'll repeat the process. When it gets to solid red, release the button like I just did, and it will stay on red. Keep in mind this programming process is for the vans that have the 4-pin connector plug A attached at the steering column. If you do not have that plug A connected, do not follow these instructions because it will not work. So, grab both keys. Basically what we're going to do is I'm going to label this one key 1, the other one's going to be key 2. So, take key 1, insert it into the ignition, count to 3, take it out, put key 2 in within 5 seconds, turn it on, count to 3, pull it out, push and hold this button. Ignition turns on, let go of the button, and then we're waiting for that blue light to blink rapidly. So it's blinking, your ignition is still on, give it a few seconds, and there we go, ignition just turned off. So everything is complete, and now you just tap the lock button 3 times. So we're gonna go 1, 2, 3. You'll see the red light come on, and we're running. Now if you guys don't want parking lights, go ahead and tidy all this up, zip tie it up in here, and you're good to go. I'm going to go through the second programming process right now. Push and hold the button. You're going to insert the black connector. These lights are going to start fluctuating and cycling. So it starts at blue, then goes to red, amber, and then red and blue at the same time. Non-transponder vehicles you're going to release when it's blue. So we got blue right here. And now you take one of the keys, you insert it into the ignition cylinder, the light goes out, turn the key forward, give it a couple seconds and that light's going to blink blue. And then let it blink for about 5 seconds or so. Go ahead and turn the key off, take the key out, and we're good to go. So now when we hit the lock button 3 times, you're going to see the red light pop on and the vehicle is going to start. Alright guys, so the Transit is completely finished up and back together, ready to go back to the dealership. On the factory key fob, you're going to push lock, lock, lock. Give it a few seconds here and she'll fire up. The car does remain locked. Ignition is on, air conditioner is on. As you can see, the door is locked here. So what you're going to do is walk out to it. You can push the unlock button. You can get in it. And then basically you just insert the key, turn it forward 2 clicks, press the brake pedal, pull it out of park. There's our camera, and you can drive away.